Welcome to the Business Extra. I'm Mustafa Alrawi, the National's Assistant Editor-in-Chief here in Abu Dhabi. Today, we're going to be talking about technology with the head of Middle East and North Africa region of Zoom. We'll discuss what the future is for, I guess, philosophically and societally, but also for actual tech itself in a few moments. Before we do that, if you like this show, please do subscribe. If you're on YouTube, ring that bell. Well, as I said, I'm very happy to say that we're talking to Sam Tayan, the head of the Middle East North Africa region for Zoom Video Communications. Sam, welcome again onto the Business Extra.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, I love your Zoom virtual background because I guess that speaks to what Zoom has become for many people in their minds, which is almost an office away from the office. And I kind of want to get into that because philosophically, I think we need to discuss where tech is taking us. I feel that given a lot of the news recently about how tech growth has plateaued or growth rates have slowed, particularly in terms of the outlook for revenue and such things. And it's very much a market's point of view, which I don't necessarily think is as important as it seems to be. I would say that I want to know from your point of view, are we at the end of a long cycle where tech has taken us as far as it can be, and now it's just sort of minor degrees of improvement with every product launch? You know, is that how you're seeing it from where Zoom is at the moment?
Well, no, not at all. I actually think that we are in a situation where we're right at the beginning of a really fundamental change, enabled by technology such as Zoom, where essentially there is a disconnection or disengagement, decoupling, probably a better word, between the location you're in or you're at and the work that you do. And I don't think this has ever been so prevalent, so widespread as I've seen recently, and it just keeps growing. You know, there was always a core assumption wherever you lived, there was a core assumption, you know, if you wanted to work in certain jobs, you had to live in certain areas or live in certain cities or travel to certain countries or whatever. That has gone away. People do lots and lots of jobs from anywhere. You know, you can be a top lawyer servicing clients wholly in London and not be in London. You know, you can be anywhere in the country, in the United Kingdom, or you could be in any country. And this has become absolutely normal. You know, I recently went on vacation, or I recently took a weekend break. And as it was in the Middle East, I found on Saturday, I found on Sunday, which is a working day, obviously, across the region, many people flipped open their laptops and did work in the morning. You know, you saw them in the reception, you saw them in the corridors, headphones on, I could see the Zoom screens and so on. So the fact that you can blend, whether it be these workations or you can work in a manner which really disconnects you. I saw an article on the BBC about a lady who's traveled to 80 countries, I think it is, and all the time has been running her business, which is a creative agency in Scotland, unimpacted. And I think she's been to some exotic places.
So can I infer from that sort of insight from you, Sam, that we're at the beginning of a cycle because the shift in terms of more people sort of working from anywhere, this isn't working from home, it's literally work from anywhere, is going to spur more technological advances that cater to that lifestyle? Is that what you're saying?
So I think obviously technology, you know, will continue to advance and continue to cater. And the tools of the trade, whether it be the software, the technology, and so on, will essentially serve a new type of working population, a hybrid working population in this way. And in the same way, you know, I've talked about remote work, but, you know, we can look at it in terms of healthcare and so on. We know, you know, how time consuming it is to go see the GP, the doctor, where you will go and park, and then you will sit in the waiting room, and then you will, maybe see a doctor for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, and he'll be speaking to you. what, in many cases. Obviously, there are cases where they can, they need to take your blood pressure or whatever, but there will be many, many, many cases, the majority, where they will just speak to you. If you can imagine, that's now becoming remote. So often that is done via a Zoom call. You can imagine the technology and the ecosystem which can build up around that in the healthcare case. In the working case, same thing. You can imagine the technology and which will build up around that to facilitate people. In the same way, when the browser came about, technology built up around that, applications built up around that, and so on. So yes, it's a virtuous cycle, I think.
We talked last time when you were on the Business Extra about the growth in your enterprise business. Very much that you're looking to build up the kind of corporate customer, and you're expanding in terms of your products that you offer. Now, is that to me that sounds like convenience, right? That's what you're trying to build in, but it's not really a game changer, right? What are you going to do in terms of kind of really making that work from anywhere, hybrid, going to the doctor on Zoom experience, really feel fantastic?
So we've introduced a lot of innovations. We recently had a big event, annual event called Zoomtopia, and we introduced a whole lot of absolutely fabulous new stuff, including new products, improvements and innovations on existing products, and so on. And some of it was quite fantastic. So obviously we did announce email to extend the platform experience of Zoom. We did introduce and extend the team chat and other things as well. Also products to allow people to occasionally drop in or casually drop in. So less of the organized and arranged meetings, more of the casual drop in. We introduced Zoom Spots, which is a virtual co-working space for creating informal interaction. So, you create a co-working space, you go drop in there and chat with your colleagues via video or whatever. So we're doing all of that in our Zoom Rooms product, which is our conference room product, part of Zoom Spaces. We now support multiple cameras so that you can create a really dynamic environment if you're speaking to multiple people in the same room. So a whole bunch of people in the meeting room and so on, another whole bunch of people maybe in another location, they can speak to each other using more dynamic video. So there's a lot of new stuff. And obviously enterprises, we've had success with enterprises because enterprises are beginning or certainly continuing to appreciate some of these things.
And how about the security component? Because we discussed this last time, was, that it was quite a steep learning curve during the pandemic when so many people came online and started using Zoom that suddenly you had to up your security game. But also this requires it too. If people essentially, from what you're saying, are building virtual offices, where it's going to feel like when they're online, they really are in kind of together, then the security needs to be kind of tip top, unbeatable.
Yes, absolutely. And as you state, tip top security comes a standard with Zoom. So that's our first thought with every product that we put together. So, most certainly all the products which I mentioned, all the areas that I mentioned, all take advantage of all the state-of-the-art best practices in terms of security.
And you're confident that as you grow and you get more and more users on that side, that, we're not going to have the same kind of issues that we had during the pandemic, where it was kind of like people weren't really sure what was going on in terms of ensuring that they didn't have these breaches, right?
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, for many people, this is the first time they'd used a video collaboration product. It's a slightly different situation now. And, security is as much as anything about awareness and learning. And there's a lot of awareness and learning around as well these days.
I'll come back to the hybrid working, and it's interesting that you were saying that you were at a resort in this region, because it feels like there's a lot of noise pushing back against the remote work. I mean, we had the famous statement by Elon Musk, who said, I'll only allow remote working in certain cases, and he kind of backtracked from that a little bit as well for Twitter. But also, a lot of people have been trying to get their staff back to the office. For this region, what have you seen? What is the predominant feeling, you think?
I think, and I even experienced it myself. I think the let's get everybody back in the office. I think is a sentiment everybody felt when the things opened up, because everybody was enthusiastic and so on to get out, have a cup of coffee with colleagues and so on, and that's very valuable. Given the passage of time, I think what people are realizing is that getting stuck in a traffic jam for an hour in each direction is not dreadfully efficient. It's not a dreadfully efficient use of time. And I would ask, from the experience that we've seen, usages continue to rise in terms of innovative hybrid working practices, and more companies adopting those practices. And I think it's become a given. I think and saying that your employees work from home is no longer considered like a big deal. I think it's virtually a given. And if you just need to look at car parks and things like that near office locations to realize that there's a lot less people in the offices.
So does that mean the outlook for the region for your business is looking quite strong as a result?
We're absolutely delighted with our customers, with their how they're using our technology. We're privileged to have lots of new customers to serve, and we're in terms of we're seeing the bright side of things, to be honest with you. As I said, it's not the case that people just shut their laptops and decided to do everything with pen and paper. Absolutely not. I think people are now beginning to understand. It's becoming nuanced. So people are getting, whether it be better audiovisual hardware, and if you notice, lots more good AV hardware is being announced, whether it be headphones, in-ear earpieces with noise cancelling. People are now focusing on the quality of the video on the go, making sure people are preferring Zoom because Zoom has fabulous video quality even when the Wi-Fi is not so good, and so on. So I think quite the contrary. I think people are now, just like whether it be telephony, whether it be any other technology, it's ready. The application is being refined, and in this region, people are good at adopting technologies, and so we're seeing more and more of that.
So, what does next year look like for you? You think?
Well, we'll continue doing what we do, and so we'll be working very hard with leading organizations across the region, and continuing to be here to help people with whether it be remote education, remote healthcare, remote work, all other interesting applications. Please give me a call.
I'll give you a Zoom call, Sam. How about
Absolutely.
that? Sam Tayan, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. All that remains to thank our production team and you all for being with us.